I'm excited to reconnect with you again today. I thought we could start by just, quick intros for those of you, joining us virtually, which I guess is everyone. I'm Lauren. I work on the partnership side of the business at White Ops, helping educate brands on marketer fraud. White Ops is the global leader in bot mitigation. We work with over 200 of today's leading enterprises, internet platforms, and brands to help secure their inventory, sites, marketing efforts, and data from being impacted by fraud, especially by sophisticated bots. For brands, the first point of attack that we help protect against is when bots try to disguise themselves as humans entering brand sites primarily through paid media tactics such as search, social, affiliate advertisers, native. They land on sites, fill out forms, and then skew your metrics. So our mission is to disrupt the economics of cybercrime, but our motto is keep it human, hence the t-shirt. That's us in a brief synopsis. Lindsay, if you want to do just a quick intro on your side as well.
Absolutely. I just want to have a little fun thing. So the first time Lauren and I talked about just like being a human, and I kept using it. She's like, "Do you know that I'm wearing that shirt right now?" So I so appreciate that she's repping not only her brand, but the way that I talk. So I feel like this has been a match made in virtual heaven. So it's so great. I'm Lindsay Sutton. I hopefully have encountered some of you along the way. Thank you for all the magical LinkedIn notes that people have sent leading up to this. I will get to them, I promise. So I lead our digital and content strategy at John Hancock. That essentially means anything that has to do with consumers. I do not do the B2B world. If you ask me questions about B2B, I will do my very best and I will find the person that knows that. But I am really talking about the end customer, the person, you, me, your sister, your brother, those types of people that are looking for a place for saving, investing, retirement, and insurance. So that is me, whether it's podcasts, social content, the site, search, all our media, anything like that. I have a wonderful team. It's not just me, but that is the job function of my group. And financial services is where I've spent the last almost 3.5 years.
Nice, thank you for that. So we talked about this. I'm super excited about this, fireside chat because I think there's selfishly a whole lot that I can learn from you. I thought we could kick it off by doing just a super fun, fast, rapid fire roles and responsibilities breakdown in your household. So first off, how many meals a week do you cook?
If HelloFresh comes, I'll make like one of the three. If not, zero.
Fair. Okay. Who handles laundry?
My husband.
When was the last time you went grocery shopping?
I just figured out how to do Amazon Prime, Whole Foods. I don't even know what it's called because I just figured out how to do it because of COVID. So I don't know, last week?
Prior to that?
Never. Never.
Yeah. Okay, bedtime routine, you or your husband?
If I'm home, so pre-Coco Roro, me. So if I had that from a friend who did that, so I can't take credit. But so if I got home, it would totally be me. Now it's sort of a combo plate of both of us.
So handy man or handy woman in the household?
My husband is the handy man. I feel like I could do it, and I follow a lot of DIYers, but I really can't.
I am the handy woman without question. So
jealous. Let's get married.
There you go. Who handles the family finances?
I do.
Okay, makes sense. And then just overarching childcare duties.
So my husband is a full-time stay-at-home dad. I feel like I should have said that beforehand. He has stayed home. We have twins. They are 6. They are also behind me. I'm at my grandfather's house. So if they come screaming through here, just give them a hi. But he has stayed home with them since they were born. So he's our cruise director.
Cruise director, love that. So was there a pivotal decision-making moment when you had the twins, like a catalyst in deciding, like husband, you're the stay-at-home, you wear the household mantle, or was that just kind of always going to be the plan, as you led up to the event?
we joked about it. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that one of their spouses, whether male, female, whoever, was like, "Oh, I could stay home. I could do that thing." And my husband always joked about it. And then when we found out I was having twins, which was oh, quite a shock. It was sort of a no-brainer. To be totally candid with this audience, he made far less than I made. And so when you kind of weighed childcare costs for two people and the amount of stress, I had to commute almost over a little hour and a half to work every day. So, and I still do that, out of this state. But it just made sense, for a time, for being there for our family. And honestly, once we cut a salary, now it doesn't, I mean, we've created a life in this way. So of course you could add it back in, and I'm sure we could find a use for dollars like anyone could, but we've learned how to operate on one salary to support four people and two dogs.
Nice. I personally, I think, like a lot of moms, I'm a little bit of a household control freak, and I have trouble letting go of responsibilities, even when I know that I can or I should. I think it became exacerbated with children. Did you, in the early stages, or do you still struggle with any kind of remnants of mom guilt? How have you successfully managed them?
Yeah, great question. I have all of the mom guilt all the time. I don't have it for like household things. It comes out weird. I typically travel a lot, and have for my whole career. And so it comes at weird moments like that where you're away and you're so excited about the things that you're doing and the work that you're doing. But it's hard and you miss things. And my kids are still little, so we are just getting into what would be baseball season and soccer, and I don't want to miss those types of things, of course. But I have all of the mom guilt. I think sometimes it's harder because you can resent your partner for the amount of time they spend together. But then, it comes back around. It's all different things. I think you fill up your tank in different ways. I always make sure that we're spending a lot of time together anyway, especially now. But I mean, I don't know who doesn't have mom guilt. And if you have magical tricks, please put them in the comments section and tell me how not to have it.
Everyone does the like the mommy me classes the first year or two or whatever. And I was in one recently where someone said, well, not recently, but pre-Coco Roro, in which someone said, have something that like only you and your child do, and then something that only, like your spouse and your child do. So something very special for the two of you.
Yeah, I feel like that is really, I think it's really smart. So I run a lot. I literally wore a shirt that says Mama needs a run, but I'm a little bit cold, so I have this on, but I wore it just for you. And I feel like running has been this thing that I'm just like, I gotta go. Like, I'm not gonna there's no guilt when it comes to running. Like, I gotta go and do that. It's gonna make me happier. It's gonna make me less anxious, and my mental health is just gonna be so much better for that time period. And when I come back, not only for work, but for my family. So I totally agree with taking the time.
Yeah, cool. So I think this quote has gone viral, or is relatively famous, at least, in to me, it like resonated so completely. The Sheryl Sandberg quote, it's a whole article, I think on Fortune, which she said that COVID is creating a double shift for working women. Research from leanin.org and SurveyMonkey says 1 in 4 women are currently experiencing severe anxiety with physical symptoms like racing heart, compared to only 1 in 10 men. And then more than half of women are struggling with sleep issues currently. This is a study from last month. The traditional structures of working moms escaping the office is just being completely blown up. Balancing work and life is impossible as the two become so interwoven with children and like with childcare and school being removed from the equation. What guidance do you have on the path to your family's sort of non-traditional roles, and how the rest of us might be able to better navigate the changing environment?
It's a good question, because I've been thinking about it a lot, where I and I wrongly did this, where when we first started and all the packets came home from school that was like, you need to log into these 18 systems and print out these 45 things. Honestly, who has a printer? So that was my first problem. I got one. But to do all these things. And I think for the first, honestly, couple of weeks, my assumption was that my husband would take those things on, because that would be like a home thing and a kid thing. And I realized that, yeah, that was his bucket. But where I went wrong was that our buckets aren't specific to kids and work. They're specific to our strengths. And so my strength is organization, technology, you know what I mean? Things like that actually I would be the teacher. I'm not a teacher, but I would be the teacher. And so I figured that out, we got into a really good groove that if I could print out all of the schoolwork, if I could write what's online, what's not online. So it was this added layer where I organized it. He could then, disseminate it for the kids and help them go through it. But I missed that step for the first couple of weeks because I had put us in these buckets of home and work. So I feel like, I don't know if that's advice, but it was much more about skill set. And I totally went back and I was like, oh my gosh, this, I was doing it wrong. Like even things like, I think we all take for granted that we know how easily to navigate between Outlook and our Google calendars and whatnot, but take somebody who has been out of the workforce for 6 years and yeah, sure, they can use Amazon like no other and scroll through Instagram and do all those things, but to connect and have the kids be on the school and do all the things, that's a challenge. That's a step for them. And so once I figured out that was my specialty, I was able to guide them much better. And then we got into a really good routine with it. So I do think it's like whatever she called it, the double standard or like the switchback or whatever it is. I think that's true-ish, but I think it's a conversation. I have plenty of friends that are partners and they're both working and they're dealing with much younger kids than I have. And I like you guys, I commend you. I think that's really, really difficult. Or even honestly, the kids that are 10, 14, where you really have to sit with them and do the work. Honestly, to me, if there is a way that we could all take a deep breath and actually figure out what parent is good at what, the ones I think that have sat down and said, I have meetings here, I have meetings there. And then how do you kind of augment that for what you're good at? Don't put me in the woodworkers section of school. I'm not going to be able to do that. Put me in the math section. I'll be able to do a really good job. So skill set played a big part for us.
I love that. That has not occurred to us in our household. We tried to be, both working, tried to be over organized, and which doesn't work when you're trying to schedule meetings with people on the fly. It's like, this is my time, this is your time. And a coworker of mine suggested she was having nightly meetings with her husband. Similar, she has 2 children. I just have the one, but both have 2-year-olds, which means constantly guarding them from killing themselves or your house. So they need eyeballs on. And she said, we have a nightly, team meeting around these are the meetings I need. These are the meetings that you need to be on board. But additional tasks, I love the idea of what is your skill set? Where are your strengths? Let's line them up that way. That's amazing. So, current events in the world clearly have highlighted issues, both old and new, I would say, with education. Parents now balance work and homeschool. Question around, for older children, what will college look like in the fall? What colleges are even going to survive? Growing support to, defund police and funnel funds towards more education efforts in some locations. On a simplistic level, working moms, just like you said, are being faced with the decision of, do I take my 12 p.m. meeting or do I help my kid to read? Boiled way down, thinking through what's more important. How do you think the last several months and the rest of the year will impact the quality of education on the generation as a whole?
It's so tough because it really depends. My lens on it is for 6-year-olds. They're in kindergarten, so I can see they're learning how to read, and the tasks that we do aren't that different for school than we would do on our own for fun. Reading is fun. Learning the words is fun. The moment I call it school, it doesn't really resonate so well with them. So, and I have it. I'm in upstate New York right now visiting my 90-year-old grandfather, and he's like, the kids are going to be so messed up. He keeps saying they're going to be so messed up, and I'm like, oh gosh. But then I was like, they're not. I think that it's just a new balance. Like there are all different hurdles, maybe not at the scale that we are dealing with right now where everybody is feeling it. But if we were all able to look at our lives individually, I'm sure there are huge moments that have shifted how we work and we operate individually in our families, whether it could be anything from illness, moving to, I don't know, starting a new family, whatever it might be. There's so many things, and we're able to overcome that. I think education is super challenging. I'm reading, the thing I've been consumed with right now is, just reading everything about how a lot racism basically just wasn't taught in schools. Like in a lot of schools. I'm not saying every school at all, but I've been reading a lot of articles this morning, and then I was reading an article about how they were hating on the Paw Patrol because Chase is a police officer. New York Times article. Chase. Oh my gosh. Well, you are in the minority. So right, like right, but yeah, exactly. It's a great New York Times article. And it's just interesting where I think that so much is changing that yes, how we teach and how we spend time together is going to change. Do I think that they're going to be messed up for the long run? Like my grandfather says, 100% no. I think if anything, this is going to make them such better humans. And that's what I'm really excited about. There are moments and things we're talking about in conversations, things we're just seeing that would never have happened before. And I'm not thankful for any of this, but I am grateful that it's taken me and 6-year-olds that have given us the opportunity to have those conversations and have those moments.
Yeah, I think like, listen, humanity's gone through so many things. It's like evolve and move forward. Yeah. Being a mother of a daughter, do you think there's, slippage backwards in time for many households towards more traditional gender roles? I think really around like, what is the impact on young girls, especially as kind of active household observers? Is it positive that our daughters see us at work? My 2-year-old like wants to climb in my chair and pretend to be at work all the time. Or with so many women needing to pick up, heavier household loads, does this further imprint gender roles in the next generation rather than like the great work we've, done in disrupting those roles?
It's so hard. I mean, like this is all focus group of one, so please take everything with a grain of salt, guys. I don't
making the questions.
I know, like I think that it's tough. I think that it's so great for any daughter, sons, anybody to see their parents in whatever element it is, whether it be the fact that they're working all the time, or that they're making the household run, or that they're doing whatever it is, or if they're furloughed or unemployed and how they use that time. I think that these are, very critical times and where you're sharing parts of that. For me, I don't think specifically girls, I think they're just getting a better understanding for what you do. You know what I mean? I think your daughter is just getting it. I know that my kids, they think if you ask them, so I work in Boston. If you ask them who's in Boston, they think all girls are in Boston. Just girls go to work. Not men, just girls. And so all the moms are in Boston because they work, and all the dads are at home. And so if anything, like this, obviously they're boys, but like I like that they're seeing that that's not what happens. And every day they ask me, are you done with work? Are you doing this? Like there's a more of an appreciation for what's happening. And so I think that's true for whatever position that you're in. And it's all on you and the conversations that you have and the books that you read and what you're exposed to. So you're doing a great job.
Thanks. So switching gears a little more towards career, being a female in financial services, and then it's generally, kind of a more male dominated industry, plus role reversal at home. Does your rule breaker mentality translate into how you approach marketing? Do you follow the standard, 70-20-10 appetite for risk in marketing initiatives, or do you find yourself putting greater importance on testing new, never been done disruptor ideas?
Yeah, I'm definitely more in the disruptor category, which is fun. which is fun in financial services, to be honest. I didn't know if it would be when I first came aboard because I was in ad agency beforehand and I did not work on finance. But it's the thing that gets me really, really excited. And it's not because no one thought of it. I'm not the first person to think of these things, but being able to bring new and interesting solutions to people in a historically very old industry. I'm talking old because financial services has been around forever. And a lot of our companies, financial services companies, have been around forever, which is great for credibility and trust. I mean, John Hancock has been around for over 157 years. Like nothing is better than that. We're tested, we're true, all that good stuff. But to be able to bring new stuff. So I would say I don't even know what the percent is. I had my mid-year review this week, and it was one of my continues was like continue disrupting. And so is the thing that, when people say, oh, I wish I had more time to read, I wish I had more time to do this, that's what I wish I just had more time to spend doing. My team would joke that I'll come in and whatever the thing is, it's like the dream. So there's a particular thing that we're hopefully launching in July, and literally the name of it is the name of the project, Dreams. And every time we meet, it's like, oh, Lindsay's dreams again, Lindsay's dreams. And like, they're making fun of me, but I think they kind of like it. So I think it's critical no matter where you are. And I think it's harder for industries that do it all the time. And you're kind of thinking, I mean, like I said, I worked in advertising. How many times you get that note that says like, never been done before. You know what I mean? I want to be the one that's in the trades doing the thing. Like, and you sit there and you think and think and think. And that's hard, but you always figured out how to do it. So take an industry that so needs it, and then you get the full spread in front of it. You get to pick and choose really what's right for the end customer versus what's going to make a headline. And hopefully what's right for the end customer does make the headline.
Yeah. How do you go about finding those disruptor ideas that speak to you? And then, like, how do you make the decision on if they don't work, when to turn them off?
Luckily, I feel like I work in a very understanding environment. So it's my boss, my manager, the CMO. She has always used this term, and I've worked with her at 2 different companies now, where it's just hypothesis led. It's like you have a thought, you think that it's going to happen, right? You all know what a hypothesis is. I don't have to describe it. And you go and you test it and you figure it out. And if it doesn't, then you turn it off. But it was a story and you tried it and you tested it. And I think we overuse the word test at my company, specifically in marketing. And our head of analytics kind of always corrects us, and he's right. We're learning. So it's different. People say like test and learn, or you have a learning agenda, but we're learning every single thing. It's not a test, because test you're done and over with. Learning means that we're going to go to the next thing, and we're going to take what we learned from that and say that was the right channel, that was the right mix, that wasn't the right spend. And there have been many times that's happened for us, but it always helps us for what's next. So if not, I wouldn't know that particular partnership didn't work, or I would know that we should have invested in more of that technology. But we really try to make a case for a small dollar spend to be able to put it towards that thing, or what can we do internally with a really, really strong internal team. And from there, we are able to basically bring things to life. So I think it's a lot about the environment that you're in and having the permission to hypothesize and learn.
So, in striving towards that, like do more with less, right? The ever-present goal of more new customer acquisitions, stronger existing customer engagements, stricter back-end efficiencies. Do you see value in securing deeper insights, better intelligence around the realness or humanness, if you will, of your marketing efforts, on-site actions, and how that impacts your overall data and lifetime value of your investment?
Yeah, I mean, anything that we can do that leads into an ROI, of course. The value of our investment to show, like you said, on-site actions, any of those, whether they be diagnostic metrics or way beyond that, they're telling some sort of story about our consumer and how they want to be talked to, how they want to engage with us, and we're able to use that. And this can be just organic too. Like, of course, like we're going to break off media spend for small, little different test and learn type things, even though I said I wouldn't say that. But if if it's not that and there's a larger spend, or even just a different kind of spend that's working on a particular initiative, it's all going to come back to understanding how they behave. And I think that concept of, really designing for the human at the center of everything, and making sure that it's not just some magical thing we wished up, or even some cool technology. Like, I want to be clear, like, it's not like I hear about I can't even think of something, some cool technology, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're totally going to do that now. It's more so about how I know the psyche of our audience inside and out, digitally, and in person, and then how do I match what I'm seeing out there in the world that could really, really benefit them.
Nice. So I was surprised by this post. It hadn't been something that I thought about previously, but I recently read a marketer post on LinkedIn. She said she preferred to be called on by women. Do you have a preference on being called on by men or women? Are there differences you notice from your male versus female partners, aspects of either's approach the other one could benefit from? Is this a thing that I just totally missed?
There is so much that both sexes could benefit from. I think there are personally much more for men to observe, and see how sometimes we interact, and how we advocate, and how we talk, and how we diagnose something and challenge it. I think there's a lot of learnings that are there. I mean, there's thousands of books on this, like, not an expert, but I think that that is important. I think my first 4 years of my career, I was the only woman. And so I have a relationship, a business relationship with men that I'm very, very comfortable with. So I don't, it doesn't matter to me, honestly, if the work is getting done, people are being spoken to fairly, everybody is heard. I'm there for that. The moment where I fortunately haven't been in a situation where I felt I wasn't heard or wasn't called upon because of my sex. But I know, and I've had many people on my team that have experienced that before, and it's just sucks, and it's not something that is good. But I think, honestly, the way in which you can learn and observe from one another, much like animals do, is really, really important.
I think the everybody is heard as a subject makes a lot of sense to me. I think I feel like men do at least my husband and most men I know do a tremendous job of self-promotion, whereas I see a lot of women err on the side of being almost overly humble. How do you take credit, especially in a more male-dominated world? How do you take credit for successes that you've built to ensure you're properly recognized?
Great, great question. Because I already told you that I had my mid-year review this week.
Yeah.
All of you now know that was one of the things I had to work on. Being my own PR person, and it's so true. And it's so interesting in this type of environment. I could tell you magical things that I worked on, and the magical team that I have, and awards, and all those types of things. But when it comes to day to day, I think not we all, there's a subset of us, I'm including myself in that. I have a hard time of doing that. I want to raise up my team around me more than anything. This person did that person did this, a larger team did that. And I think as you continue to rise up in your career, you feel like that's really important, right? Early on in your career, 80% of your job is the work, 20% is managing and trying to do that. Then it switches, right? 80% is managing, 20% is the work. I don't know if I'm totally there yet, given the type of role that I have. I'll always kind of be hands-on, but it's hard to remember to share. So I have been doing a couple of things to try to do that. So I've been trying to not only integrate more with the other larger team that I sit on, and share more about what's working, what's going on, the work that's in the hopper, but then also beyond that, making sure that my boss and her peers have insight into the right headlines, not all of the headlines. That was her feedback to me. It's the right ones. And so I have coined myself Lindsay Shares a Lot Sutton for 2020. So because of that, I am trying very hard to share more, to be able to do that. But it's hard because I don't know, I don't want to sound like that person. We all know that person. But there's a balance. So I think it's a constant work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a work in progress for me. I don't want to sound like that person, but I know that I should do a better job of it. I think so many women suffer, like struggle with that. You talk a lot about the kind of the mentorship of your CMO. I know we only have a couple minutes before Q&A, so I'd love to touch on that. You know, how did that mentorship like come about, and how has it helped you along your path?
Yeah, we have worked together at two different companies now. And I feel like I've been fortunate that I have had a, let me think. Every single manager boss that I have is somebody that I am close with, that I respect. It's crazy because I know so many people in one organization may switch their manager so many times, but there's something about, I've been very fortunate that my track record, both male and female managers, have been stellar. And I think that it's the mentorship that I've received from her and everyone else. Some actually had reported to her, and I reported to them. So it was once removed, and now I've in a different company. Now I report to her. So we're also, a lot of us are cut from the same cloth, which I think is helps to be able to get where you want to go faster. You're able to just be more candid. There's more transparency. I've learned so much from her and how to behave at two different organizations, with two different strategic objectives. I mean, whole sets of them, obviously. And that has been really, really great. She fosters an amazing environment that hopefully I'm translating to my team. And I don't know, if you don't, it doesn't have to be your manager too. I would say my advice is like, it reach out to me. If you want someone to mentor you, I will find you someone. It doesn't have to be me. Like, if you have, I know people talk about mentoring, but I'm like the quintessential introverted extrovert. I am very extroverted. I'm excited to be here. I want to be all of your best friends. But in networking situations or in a large room, I'd just be in the corner eating a cupcake. Like, I can't do it. I don't want to, and it gives me like anxiety. But I think having really great mentors that you can text. I had a CMO of one of the startups I used to work for texting me this morning about one of her, a new hire that she has, and talking through it and our families and how they are. And I think being surrounded by really powerful and supportive, both men and women, has been huge. And my current boss is just, she's tops. So it's hard to, and I continue to learn so much, which is great, seeing her in two different environments. And like I said, just find somebody who's great. It doesn't have to be your direct manager.
Cool. I like it, Lindsay, the mentor matchmaker.
Oh my God, this is going to be so great. People joke, one other fun thing, people joke that people are like, nobody else has random strangers slide into their LinkedIn DMs, which I know it's not what it's called if LinkedIn's on this call. I know it's not called that slides in your LinkedIn DMs, that they're strangers that ask for coffees with you. And I was like, it's so fine. And they're like, are they going to murder you? And I was like, no. Like, I think it's going to be fine.
Well, now they're all virtual.
I know, but I've made so many interesting connections, and I've connected those people with interesting people. And again, it's not all me at all. But I think that that's so powerful. So I'm going to call it networking, however you want to do it. Like, it doesn't have to be in person. It doesn't have to be forced, and doesn't have to be around drinking.
I love doesn't have to be drinking. I'm trying to not drink as much in Cooke row. All right. So we've got, 9 minutes for Q&A, it looks like. I'm going to scroll up here. So do you have any advice for brand marketers navigating this new normal?
Flexibility. I just think like the more bendy you can be like Gumby, the better. I think it's tough. You have a strategy and you worked really hard on making that strategy, and it's not out the window. There's some brand promise, brand mission, whatever it is, that still stays true. That's not going anywhere. But then all of a sudden becomes the intersection of that brand promise and that brand strategy become what's happening in the world. And it doesn't mean you respond to everything. It doesn't mean that you have to create to be an answer for everything. But when what's happening in the world intersects with that brand promise, that's your time to act. And you have to be flexible. You have to be nimble. You're going to work weekends and it's going to be late, but you know what? You're going to take a Friday off and you're going to be fine. And I think it's really that intersection. So for us, we have a very particular mantra, a mission for us. And I have to say it over and over in my head, because then I know I'm supposed to be doing something. And then I know when I'm not supposed to be doing something.
So what trends, intersecting with that, what trends in consumer behavior are of particular importance to you, and then, marketers in general? How, I guess, also, how are consumers consuming media differently, and like, what's the value benefit to you as a marketer?
Yeah. Lots of different questions there. So I would say that some stuff that's really important to me is that how people are spending their time. So there's, 57% of the US population says that they're saving more. What does that mean for financial services? That should mean a lot for us. That's a big chunk of people. Obviously, there's a whole subset, I can't remember the stat on it now, of people that are working out more. Again, what does that mean for us? We have life insurance. All of our life insurance policies come with rewards for eating healthy, working out at home now. So what does that mean for us? So there's a lot of stuff in terms of how people are spending their time that are critical to our success. And if we do not make sure that our creative, our messaging, any sort of content that goes out is leaning into that, then we're just going to in understanding that little things, like you may see it in your feeds and stuff, like, oh, that person's wedding was canceled, oh this, oh that. Well, the financial services industry is built off of a lot of life moments: having babies, getting married, doing a lot of those things. And if those things are looking so much different, we need to pivot with that. And it sounds obvious, but the moment you see a big wedding on TV and it says, oh, your big life moment should come with a life insurance policy, you're like, who's having a wedding? Like, who? Nobody. So things like that are really, really important. In terms of consuming media differently, obviously time spent, you're all getting those screen time reports on your phone, which are horrifying, but also really fascinating. So a girl on my team, we were going through like reviewing some new platforms, either for John Hancock or not, but just like getting ourselves smarter. Her idea, not mine, giving her credit there. And there's, a new platform out there, Quibi, that, you're getting 10-minute videos. And she, interesting enough, when she was researching it, she looked at her phone to see what were her 4 hours and 53 minutes spent on today on her phone. And it was in 10-minute bursts on her social channels. And so, so smart, this platform, of course, it was kind of out before that, but it perfectly matches to this world we're in now. Well, that's how that demographic, which is mid late 20s, is consuming. So it's really important. So if you're trying to put out a longer series and it's not getting picked up or whatever it might be, I'm not in that industry, but so interesting when you were to compare her screen time report with a new platform that's out there. So all of that stuff has been a big consideration. We're trying so hard to stay on top of it. We have a wonderful research team. We're just thirsty for the information. So as much as we can send it around, we try to do, but it's changing literally every day. And so hard to stay on top of. Hold on to a few nuggets that are relevant for your industry. It's really smart.
Has your personal media consumption changed since the pandemic started? Like, are you a Quibier now, or?
No. I tried TikTok at the beginning. Please don't look at my channel. It's me forcing my children to try to do it. I'm a way better dancer, just, full disclosure. But I don't know. I haven't. I've seen a lot of people start muting their channels or get off of Facebook and those types of things. The core of my job and my profession has been social media and digital consumption. So it's hard for me to remove it. I think mentally, I have to put it down a little bit more than normal. But I haven't shifted because honestly, that's how understanding how it's being used. If I put it down or I take myself off of some of our main key core channels, I'm missing that, and then I'm just guessing. I really find success in participating in the conversation, and by that I don't mean that I'm like going into threads and going crazy, but participating as an observer passively, and of course sometimes actively, is critical to my job security and success.
I would say a massive social consumer, not an active social consumer.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of with you there. I'll wrap with one of my own questions. What this is like the last 4 months, headed into the rest of the summer, has been kind of an learning platform for everyone, right? So what is the biggest or smallest, what have you learned about yourself personally in the last 4 months?
Oh my gosh,
As a
so
human, as
good.
a
As a
human.
human. Okay, what I've learned about myself. Um, oh my gosh, that's like a stumper. I feel like have I learned? I think that I've learned a lot about other people, that we are resilient and we are strong and we will pivot and we will be able to go through any situation with the right people around us. I think about that both at work and all of a sudden at a drop of a hat, all of us working from home, and it being actually quite seamless. I think that that is really important. I've learned that it's okay to be happy in a pandemic, and it's okay to say that out loud. I am appalled by what's going on in the world, but individually, I'm doing my best to participate and listen and take action every single day. But being able to say that you're happy and you're being able to work towards your professional goals through something like that just shows how great I think people are. So I don't know if it's about learning about me so much, but that people are really resilient.
Yeah, I think that, no, that's about you, like being able to embrace the like happy moments in like, kind of overall just like yuckiness is a big like personal evolution. I think my husband and I have my husband and I have had that conversation a lot. Come Saturday, like a walk through the neighborhood, we're really just happy. Monday morning, not so happy. So yeah, yeah. And on that, I think we have, looks like Lauren jumping in, but Lindsay, I've like every conversation we've had, I've really loved. Thank you so much for letting me just pepper you with all kinds of personal like thoughts and guidance today. I hope everyone else got some value out of the conversation as well.
Thank you for letting me talk about whatever I talked about because I'm pretty sure I blacked out. So thank you. Please keep the conversation going, both of course with you, Lauren, but anybody else out there too. I'm so inspired by all the work that Brain Innovators does. So always appreciate them having me.
The mentor matchmaker.
I'll put it on my resume.
There you go.
Sounds like it. Yeah, thank you so much, Lindsay. It's always good to have you. Lauren, same. Hope to see you guys again soon.